Omaha is developing more and more each day. We're going to show you how a new controversial bill could potentially limit the city's urban renewal. Good afternoon, I'm Ashley LaFay.
And I'm Elizabeth Valla. UNO men's basketball is saying goodbye to Sapp Fieldhouse. We're going to take you there and show you how the university is planning on honoring the storied facility. You're watching the Omaha News.
This is the Omaha News, presented by the School of Communication at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, from the studios of UNO Television.
State Senator Abby Cornett has proposed legislation for a bill that could tremendously impact the way Omaha and other Nebraska cities create new development. Josh Geer gives us a closer look.
It's the primary tool in Omaha's redevelopment arsenal. Tax increment financing, or TIF, allows Nebraska towns to declare an area blighted and substandard, which means that if contractors improve that area, they collect the tax funds normally taken in for that location.
There's so much to gain with coming out of this recession by expanding the TIF use.
In recent years, TIF funding has been used in the redevelopment of several Omaha areas, including the First National Tower, the Conagra Campus, the Exarban Village, Midtown Crossing.
We probably approved about $3 million in TIF projects in 2010. This year, I think we'll close out with close to $13 million in TIF loan dollars.
The city says the system works, but it's not without its critics. Due to the proposed Crossroads Mall redevelopment, the West Side School District is looking at having an enormous share of its district land base being declared blighted, including parts of Omaha's esteemed Fair Acres neighborhood, which worries some residents that their tax dollars might not be going to help the school district. Mayor Suttle says it's a win-win for everyone in the community.
I have made a commitment to the school district to be engaged in the process. We get the Crossroads moving, you will see tremendous new development going on up and down 72nd, across Dodge. They will be the beneficiaries through the normal upfront property values that increase.
Developers hope to have the University Village at Crossroads project finished by November of 2013. For the Omaha News, I'm Josh Geer.
Cornett's proposal would limit a city's declared blighted area and a political subdivision to 7%, with Omaha and several other cities currently well beyond. Meanwhile, State Senator Heath Mello has proposed legislation to extend the maximum TIF duration from 15 years to 20.
41 U.S. senators from both the Democratic and Republican parties have signed a letter urging the Senate to schedule a vote on legislation to form and extend the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIB. The NFIP is a program created by Congress that enables property owners in participating communities to purchase insurance protection from the government against losses from flooding. The NFIP is set to expire May 31st, but the legislation would extend it for 5 years, an initiative financial reforms of the debt-ridden program.
The flood of 2011 impacted the environment all across the metro area. Kevin Cleaver went to one local park and saw how the flood affected the trees around the Missouri River.
An unsung victim of the floods of 2011 were the thousands of trees along the banks of the Missouri River, suffocated after having their source of oxygen cut off by floodwater. Omaha has faced months of very dry weather, something that Douglas County Environmental Services Director Kent Holmes says puts even more stress on trees.
The fact that the winter has been pretty dry, and that creates some additional stress on trees because some of those trees, especially evergreens, continue to transpire a lot of water, and you don't have precipitation during the winter. That creates some additional stress.
One of the major locations of destroyed trees is at NP Dodge Park. Since the floods, NP Dodge Park has been closed to the public. Workers have been spending months removing dead and damaged trees in order to progress with plans to reopen the park in May. NP Dodge Park is yet another area amongst many that have become a virtual tree graveyard following the flood.
But the recent snowfalls and snow cover have actually added some protection to the trees in Omaha.
It's nice to have the snow cover because that does provide some protection, and obviously it will provide some much needed water for those trees because they're out there regenerating roots, and those new roots will need water.
But until the last of the dead trees are removed, it will serve as yet another grim reminder of the floods of 2011. For the Omaha News, I'm Kevin Cleaver.
For anyone who may happen to have dead trees on their property, are encouraged to contact a professional arborist for advice on how to remove them. Coming up after the break, flu season is well under the way.
We're going to show you some tips on how to keep healthy during this time of year. You're watching the Omaha News.
Something wasn't right.
Were they lying to the public?
There was a bigger story here than just a plane crash.
It's become the symbol of everything that's wrong with the industry.
My kid got 6 vaccines in one day and he regressed.
Not only are those children who aren't vaccinated at risk, but those who can't be vaccinated are at risk.
Nobody really knew what was going on. What was it in this market that had to be hidden?
I spent millions of dollars in cash, bribing government officials.
People in power do not like the investigation to come too close to them.
You never hear these stories.
Tuesdays on NET1.
Most local television news only gives you brief headlines about issues that may be important to you. But for more than 10 years, only one program has remained dedicated to examining all the information about issues that really matter to Nebraskans. I'm Kathy Wyatt, and it's my privilege to present those issues for your consideration. Join me on the campus of UNO in a program we call Consider This, every week on the Knowledge Network.
UNO Television gives students a chance to work in a real studio. Working on the TV crew, students get hands-on experience with lights, camera, and action. Working on a variety of shows gives students a leg up looking for jobs. In fact, many former crew members work at local stations. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for students to learn the science and art of TV production. UNO TV, student crew, professional staff, award-winning results.
You're watching the Omaha News.
Obesity has been a problem all over this country, and unfortunately, it also starts out young. Welcome back to the Omaha News. I'm Elizabeth Valla.
And I'm Asheville LaFay. While fitness and nutrition are not typically on our minds in the middle of winter, 2 local organizations set out to educate the public on both. I visited with a couple of people that know a little bit more. Scenes like these are few and far between, as today's children prefer PlayStation to physical activity. 2 local organizations came to the Kroc Center in South Omaha Monday evening to try and change that. Whitney Cease, a dietitian with Hy-Vee, held a class on the importance of living a healthy lifestyle.
What we do here at the Kroc Center is we bring in families in the area and we just teach them about nutrition, we teach them about physical activity, and we try to help them make goals.
Classes like these are necessary because the childhood obesity epidemic is on the rise. In fact, childhood obesity has tripled over the last 3 decades, and today 1 in 3 children are obese, and these numbers are even higher in the African American and Hispanic communities, while nearly 40% of children are obese. Maverick PR was also on hand promoting their upcoming event on February 25th at the CenturyLink Center. Media Relations Director Tiffany Riggs says the event will be both educational and family-friendly.
And there we're going to have fun, family-friendly activities. They're going to be interactive, and families that come can participate to win fun prizes.
The goal of these events is to promote less PlayStation and more of this. For more information on childhood obesity, go to letsmove.gov, where it gives tips on how to eat healthy and get active. According to kidshealth.org, there are 5 ways to reach and maintain a healthy weight. The first way is to exercise. Regular physical activity burns calories and builds muscle. The second is to reduce screen time to less than 2 hours a day. Third, watch out for portion distortion. Portion sizes are bigger than they used to be, and these extra calories lead to obesity. Fourth, eat 5 servings of fruits and veggies a day. And the fifth way is to not skip breakfast. Breakfast kickstarts your metabolism, burning calories from the get-go and giving you energy to do more during the day.
With flu season running rampant lately, there have been many ways and tips to help protect yourself against the flu. But one way in particular is really simple and can make a big impact. I did some investigating to see what that could be.
How do you know when it's flu season? There's hand sanitizer next to the ATM machine.
It's really 24 to 72 hours that you're going to be sick on the average. If you get it, you have to let it run its course and practice good hygiene and stay home if you're sick. That's what we suggest with that.
By washing your hands numerous times a day, you can help protect yourself against this virus.
They can carry the virus and spread it to other people before they actually have the full-blown symptoms. So if you're starting to feel kind of yucky, that's why we tell people when you're feeling bad, stay home, because it can be spread very easily and computer as somebody else and those types of things.
We come in contact with so many things throughout our day without even thinking about it. That's why it's so important to sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. Good habits will benefit you. Having common household products on hand, such as these, can help you fight the war on flu season.
For anybody experiencing flu-like symptoms for over 72 hours, you are advised to visit with your doctor because these symptoms could result in severe dehydration. Coming up on the Omaha News, we'll see who have put their names in for the various political races across the state.
And we're joined by Joe Jordan of NebraskaWatchdog.org talking politics. You're watching the Omaha News.
You've always known you were a leader, someone who works hard to achieve your goals. You can see it. You can see your success in front of you. You pursue a college education for the old-fashioned reasons, to learn, to make yourself more valuable. To succeed, you need a place that celebrates your ambition and positions you alongside visionary people just like you. You, my friend, belong here, the University of Nebraska at Omaha.
UNO TV invites you to take a journey around the world, to lush jungles with endangered species, to exotic lands and different cultures, to lost cities beneath the sands. Travel through time to see ancient secrets on the other side of the world, the growth of the American West, or the start of Nebraska's largest city, or just explore our state. Find out about Nebraska in World War II. Learn how Omaha has grown since. Discover the effort to renovate its green spaces, the history of one of its most impressive buildings, or look at its internationally recognized university. For over 20 years, UNO TV has produced award-winning documentaries that explore, educate, and enlighten. To find out more, call 402-554-2516 or visit unotv.unomaha.edu. Watch ICU Learning English on the Knowledge Network on Cox 17.
Feed your brain with original programs from the Knowledge Network. TKN combines the resources of educational and television experts from UNO Television, Omaha Public Schools, Westside Community Schools, Metropolitan Community College, and Creighton University. TKN members produce a variety of programming with collaboration from students working in front of and behind the camera. The Knowledge Network. Feed your brain by watching Cox 17 and 18.
You're watching the Omaha News.
After Bob Kerrey announced that he would not run for the Senate seat currently held by Ben Nelson, one well-known politician announced his plan to run for office. Welcome back to the Omaha News. I'm Asha LaFay.
And I'm Elizabeth Valla. Executive Director of the Center of Rural Affairs and member of the University of Nebraska's Board of Regents, Chuck Hasselbrook, has launched his campaign for the U.S. Senate. Hasselbrook officially entered the race Tuesday morning in his hometown of Lyons, Nebraska. During his press conference, Hasselbrook said, quote, "Washington is not working to create a better future here in Lyons and across rural America. It's not working to create a better future in our cities, and it's not working to create a stronger America, more perfect union," end quote. Hasselbrook is the first and most likely the only Democrat to announce his candidacy. He will compete against Republicans John Bruning, Don Stenberg, and Deb Fischer.
Somebody else who's putting his name into a race is former state senator Ernie Chambers. Chambers will be running for his old seat in the Nebraska legislature. The 74-year-old will compete against Senator Brenda Council, who succeeded him in the 2009. Chambers is the longest-serving senator in the state's history. He said his focus will be foster care, welfare, and the state parole board.
Now we're joined by Nebraska Watchdog Managing Editor and Investigative Reporter Joe Jordan. Joe,
Elizabeth,
thank you for visiting us today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate it.
Yes, you are associated with NebraskaWatchdog.org.
Yes.
Could you tell us more about what that is?
Well, it's a news website, started in late 2009, and we're basically dedicated to, I guess the easiest way to look at it is keeping track of our public officials in the state of Nebraska, whether it's in the city of Omaha, state government. We look into ethical issues, how bills are put together, how laws are passed, what's going on behind the scenes that maybe the public isn't aware of, whether it's campaign financing, how campaigns are raising money, all those kinds of things that people, I think, need to know but don't always get a chance to know.
Okay, earlier in the newscast, we had a story about Democrat Chuck Hasselbrook announcing his bid for the U.S. Senate. When he announced, he said that he could win without President Obama's help. Do you think that will help or hinder his candidacy?
Well, I actually asked him that question, if he would be concerned and how he would react if the president got on the phone and said, "Hey, I want to come to Nebraska and campaign for you." And his answer was he thinks the president should not come here on his behalf. And it did surprise me a bit, because the usual answer that Nebraska Democrats give to that question, because usually the party in power, if it's a Democrat, whether it was Bill Clinton or in this case Barack Obama, usually the answer is he's the president of the United States and all Nebraskans will welcome him. Well, Hasselbrook basically said, no, please stay in Washington. And it did surprise me. And I think in the long run, it's hard to say whether it's good or bad for his campaign, but it certainly was surprising and will get a lot of attention in the short term.
Okay, we also had a story about Ernie Chambers. He's running for legislator again. Your thoughts about his running for the same unicameral seat that he's held for 38 years?
Well, he said when he was forced out of office, basically he was term limited out a couple of years ago, and he indicated then he was going to run again. A lot of people didn't think that would happen because he would be running against Brenda Council, who succeeded him in the seat, I think, as your story mentioned. Well, Chambers, for whatever reasons, he's not done politically yet, and it will be interesting to see. North Omaha, the district that's represented there, is sort of going through a shift where there's a lot of crime, a lot of issues, and people will either want Chambers back, thinking that he can possibly help it towards the future, or they may blame him for where it is right now. So he's got his work cut out for him. He's never really had to campaign in almost 30 years. He's usually been the only name on the ballot in that district. Now it'll be him against Brenda Council, and that should be one of the most interesting races in the fall.
Do you have an outlook for possibly what that?
I don't, and part of the reason is the turnout in North Omaha is typically very low, and it'll be incumbent on both Brenda Council and Senator Chambers to figure out a way to get their supporters to the polls, and whoever that is successful with that, obviously, will come out on top. But right now, I think it's a little too early to try to figure out where that's going to end.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the Omaha News.
Nice seeing you.
The election isn't as far away as you think. It's never too early to get started and informed about the issues and the candidates. Join us Tuesday, March 6th at 7 p.m. for Vote 2012. Our Omaha News reporters preview the U.S. Senate and 2nd House District seat for the 2012 election. Vote 2012 will air on the Knowledge Network. Coming up after the break, tip-off of the last UNO men's basketball game at Sapp Fieldhouse is inching closer.
We'll show you the who's who of alumni that are going to be here for the big game. You're watching the Omaha News.
KVNO was in a really interesting place. This Victorian mansion near UNO.
3 floors,
The studios were on the 3rd floor.
Bedrooms and bathrooms. So we had a challenge, but we ultimately ended up with an on-air studio.
We soundproofed it with carpet, and actually I think it sounded really warm, very radio friendly.
There were also rumors that the 3rd floor was haunted. Those were the maid's chambers, as we were told.
I had a sink in the office and leaded glass windows which looked out on the stable house in the back.
One colleague talking about having the window open one day, a warm spring or fall day, and a squirrel jumping through the window onto a turntable.
It was a great place, a great ambiance for a fine arts station.
It definitely had a charm to it.
The University of Nebraska at Omaha is a place for tomorrow's leaders. A place where individuals converge on a path to success, getting the attention and direction they need as they begin their career. It's where students take pride in serving Omaha, a city we've invested in for more than 100 years. UNO is a place where greatness begins. The University of Nebraska at Omaha.
Yeah, salad on Saturday, fruit on Friday, throw up on Thursday. Water Wednesday, touch your toes Tuesday, let's move Monday, swap snacks Sunday. 60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Want to hear a joke?
Yes, sure.
What's the #1 killer of women?
Well, you're still here, so that rules out crankiness.
And tracksuits.
Heart disease.
But that's a joke?
No, it's an absolute fact, but the American Heart Association says you can save lives by passing it along to 5 women you love.
Aww.
So I'm starting with 3 I tolerate. That's a joke.
Find out more at goredforwomen.org.
In February, there's going to be a hockey doubleheader in a stadium that's built more suitable for baseball. Welcome back to the Omaha News. I'm Ashley LaFay.
And I'm Elizabeth Valla.
During a press conference Tuesday afternoon, organizers announced that there's going to be a Lancers UNO doubleheader on February 9th of next season. The Lancers start off with a rivalry game against the Lincoln Stars at 12:30 p.m. And then UNO takes the ice 1 hour following the first game, battling 7-time national champion North Dakota. Tickets will go on sale October 1st. Ticket prices will begin at $30 and will be good for both games. Season ticket holders for the Lancers, Stars, and UNO will be able to purchase tickets 3 days before the general public. The Sapp Fieldhouse has been host to UNO's men's basketball games for 53 years, but after tonight, they will have to move to a new place.
Adam Koloff is live from the Sapp Fieldhouse with more. Adam?
Thanks, Elizabeth and Ashley. Tonight will be the last night that the UNO men's Mavericks basketball team will take the floor at the Sapp Fieldhouse. I talked with a former player to see how it feels about the move. Sunday was Seniors Day for the UNO men's basketball team. Seniors John Ring and Mitch Albers were recognized before the game. Their last home game as Mavericks will also be the last home game the UNO Mavericks will play at the UNO Sapp Fieldhouse. Next year, they will start to play their games at the Ralston Sports and Events Center. Former player and all-time scoring leader Dean Thompson thinks moving to the new location will help out the UNO's basketball team in the future with recruits.
But a new facility is always nice, something to get excited about. I think the Midtown location might help with some of the draw.
Thompson would like to see the Mavericks play at the Sapp Fieldhouse. He thinks it would keep the UNO students involved with the program.
You know, it'd be nice to have it on campus just because you got students here. And I think that's a big part of where the program needs to go, getting these kids involved.
He thinks that the team could find success in a new venue, just like the baseball team.
You know, with the success that the baseball team has had, moving out kind of Midtown into the Papillion area, I think that's a good model potentially.
As for the last game at Sapp Fieldhouse, senior guard Mitch Albers thinks they'll win that one.
We got a quick turnaround. We got Kearney on Wednesday, and you know, we'll be ready.
And they better be ready, because some of the past alumni that used to play for the Mavericks will be there. And a lot of alumni at that. During the media timeouts, the leaders in every major statistical category will be recognized, including MVPs Tala Data and Dean Thompson, the 2007 to 2008 team that won 25 games, and the winningest coach in program history, Bob Hansen. Back to you, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Adam. Tonight's game in between UNO and UNK will start at Sapp Fieldhouse at 7 o'clock. But if you want to go, you should get there early to get a seat, because not only is it the men's last home game at Sapp Fieldhouse, but it also might be their last game ever against the in-state rival Lopers. So it's expected to be a big one.
Even though they're going to continue to play at the Sapp Fieldhouse, Friday was the UNO women's basketball team's last home game of the season. For one player, it was her last game at the Sapp Fieldhouse. Millard West graduate Heather Pohl is the lone senior on the Mavericks roster. Pohl averaged 10 points and 7 rebounds per game on the season. Her career high for points was 29 set last season in a game against Washburn. In her last career game at home, Pohl racked up a double-double with 17 points and 10 rebounds versus the Dakota Wesleyan Tigers.
In honor of the College World Series, the city of Omaha welcomes a museum piece that celebrates both baseball and the racial integration of the United States. Mayor Jim Settle made the announcement that last week, Conestoga Elementary School will play the host to the exhibits, which feature interactive learning pieces that teach visitors about the history of baseball's famed Negro League. The exhibit has been in the works for over 18 months and talks about many former players, specifically Kansas City Monarch great and famed Major League and Baseball scout Buck O'Neil. The exhibit will be on display throughout the College World Series, and Omaha Public School students will be able to visit for class. That's it for this week's edition of the Omaha News. Thanks again for watching. Look for more. Check us out, Facebook page at facebook.com/the Omaha News, or search for Omaha News on Facebook.
While you're there, you can check out the stories our reporters covered, submit story ideas, or give us feedback. We'd love to hear from you. From all of us here at the Omaha News and UNO Television, good night.
Watch the Omaha News Wednesdays at 4 p.m. on the Knowledge Network.
Hi, I'm Meshach Taylor, actor and public television supporter, encouraging you to become a fan of UNO Television. Located on the University of Nebraska at Omaha campus, UNO Television is a unit of the College of Communication, Fine Arts, and Media. Student crew members are trained and placed in broadcasting positions that give them real-world experience. Many students move seamlessly into jobs within the local television market. UNO Television, student crew, professional staff, award-winning results.
Feed your brain with original programs from the Knowledge Network. TKN combines the resources of educational and television experts from UNO Television, Omaha Public Schools, Westside Community Schools, Metropolitan Community College, and Creighton University. TKN members produce a variety of programming with collaboration from students working in front of and behind the camera. The Knowledge Network. Feed your brain by watching Cox 17 and 18.